All right, guys. So today we're going to take a look at a pair of true wireless earbuds that a lot of you guys recommended in the comment section, but this company has self-proclaimed these as the ultimate value king. That's a pretty bold statement. So I really wanted to see, what it is you guys were recommending, but also see if it could live up to a name like the ultimate value king. And so the pair we're going to check out today are the Ceramics-MK2. Now, I've never heard of this brand, never heard of this company, but the features and the looks and the price definitely is something I could see why it would catch a lot of people's attention. This is a pair that comes in at only $34, even though right now on their site it's marked down to like 29 bucks. So we're going to consider this a pair that is under $30. Now this is with the silicone ear tips. It looks like if you want the foam ear tips, they do have an option for those, which is only like $4 more. So we're, again, still just going to treat this like a pair that is around 30 bucks. And for $30, some of the things that you're getting is active noise canceling. You're getting Bluetooth 6.0 with multi-point connection. You are getting LDAC playback, so this is a high-res wireless certified pair of earbuds. There's also a gaming mode, so if you're going to use them for movies, TV shows, this is obviously a mode that's nice to have if you want to cut down lag. And then they also have what they call an ELC tuning, and it's basically like an equal loudness. This is, again, something we've seen in other earbuds where they're trying to like enhance the treble and the low end no matter what volume you're listening to these at, so that it always kind of seems like it stays the same, which basically means you can get some pretty bumping low end even if you're listening to these at lower volume. You don't have to blast them to be able to get that. Now, as far as the looks and the design, it is available in two different colors. They have a black model and then they have a creamish looking color. But the first thing that really caught my attention about these is how much they resemble the Sony WF-1000 XM4. So that's not their latest one. It's not even the previous model. It goes back to the XM4s. They look a lot like them, from the design of the earbuds on the outside all the way down to the inside, where it looks like it has grooves to kind of fit inside your ear canal really well, which is a plus because I did not have any kind of discomfort with these. They were not a pair that moved around no matter what I was doing. So it is one that I did feel that I could wear for a long period of time, not have to actually take them out or feel like I need to adjust them fairly often. Now the case is a very small case. It does have like a matte finish to it, which, is very nice because it's not one of those glossy ones that pick up fingerprints real easily, so it just always looks kind of clean. The case is not Qi wireless charging compatible, so that is kind of a letdown. But again, the kind of theme that you get throughout these is there are some things that they do have to sacrifice because they wanted to keep the price so low. So I kind of understand why it doesn't have a feature like this. Now, going back to the earbuds, they do use touch controls, and out of the box, they do not give you control over the volume, but this pair does work with an app where you can go in, switch around some controls, and actually get it to control everything that you want it to control. And speaking of the app is very simple. Everything is all on one page, actually. You do have the ability to keep these updated. There are only 3 EQ options. They keep it like extremely simple here. You cannot go in and customize the EQ settings. Again, it's just 3 simple ones. It's just, I think, like pop, hi-fi, and I don't even remember what the third one is, but pop is more for like the dynamic tuning. The hi-fi tuning kind of cleans it up a little bit, bumps the mids a little bit more forward and brightens up the treble a little bit. It makes it where the bass isn't as dominant as it is in the pop setting, but it is in the pop setting by default, which I think is going to be fine to most people. And another thing that the app does is give you different controls over the listening mode. So you have noise canceling mode, and then you have different levels of the noise canceling. So if you don't want it to be, too strong, you can dial it back a little bit. There is also a wind reduction mode. There's just a normal mode if you don't want to listen to it with noise canceling on, or the transparency mode, you just leave it into this. And then there's the transparency mode, which I was surprised at how well it kind of brought in the surroundings in this mode. Everything kind of seemed to sound fairly natural. It does have like a slight digital tone to it when you want to use it in transparency mode, but the noise canceling on these are just okay. Even in the deepest mode, the one that's supposed to be the strongest noise canceling mode, it's not going to be one of those that's going to compete with any pair that's, over $100. It's doing just enough if you need to just kind of dull out your surroundings. So again, because of the price tag, it's okay to curb your expectations here. Now, if you are going to use this pair outdoors, it only comes in with an IPX4 rating, which in the past, that used to be kind of the norm when it came to noise canceling earbuds, but we've seen them much higher on other earbuds. So this will be fine against rain, splashes, sweat, and things like that. It's just not something it's going to survive if you actually drop it into water. Now, as far as what they've included in the box, pretty simple here. I've got the silicone ear tip version, so it only comes with 3 sets of ear tips, and it does come with a, pretty generic looking USB-C cable to charge these. But speaking of the charging, this is another area I was pretty surprised with. If you use these in normal mode, so no noise canceling, no LDAC, you just want to listen to it just kind of as is, you can get about 12 hours on the earbuds and about 45 hours using the case. But if you're going to use noise canceling, it's going to dip back quite a bit. Then if you're going to use LDAC, it's going to dip quite a bit more. So always kind of keep that in mind. The more features you're using, the more it's going to use up the battery life. Now, if you are going to use these for taking phone calls, I actually think the mics do a pretty decent job, even in noisy environments. I felt like it just kind of focused in on my voice, but you guys can be a judge by listening to a quick test here.
So here is a quick mic test outdoors using the Ceramics-MK2s. I definitely can hear some birds. There is a little bit of wind today and a little bit of traffic off to the side. So this is just to give you an idea of what it would sound like if you were to take a call.
So now let's talk about the sound. And before we actually get into the sound itself, I do want to point out that these are using a 24-bit DAC chip that's on these earbuds, and they're mixing that with a titanium-coated dome composite diaphragm. Again, to just kind of sum all of this up, it is a dynamically tuned earbud. It kind of goes for that consumer friendly tuning, basically like a U shape, where there is definitely plenty of punch in the low end. Now, I do want to point out that when you switch it into noise canceling, kind of boosts the bass a little bit more. So the way that I actually preferred to listen to these the most was in noise canceling mode, but in the hi-fi setting. So it's basically like noise canceling was bumping up the low end, but the hi-fi EQ setting was bumping up the mids and the treble. It just kind of balanced everything out really well. Now, the one thing, even with these looking like the Sony XM lineup, it doesn't have that same like warm tuning. It is fairly bright, but again, it's extremely detailed. I actually find that this is doing a pretty comparable job when it comes to details. And the bass has a nice punch to it. Again, I was just very impressed. Overall, I had to keep coming back to the price tag because I didn't expect these to sound the way that they were priced. And that even kind of surprised me with the soundstage and the sound imaging. It didn't sound like you were in this large concert hall, but I still felt like I was in a pretty large room, and I never had any issue being able to tell where different sounds were coming from. So to wrap this video up, this is actually pretty simple. The price tag is what makes these a no-brainer. You do have to sacrifice some things, like there's no smart sensors on the earbuds, where it'll pause if you take them out of your ears or just go back to what you were listening to when you put them back in. The case does not have Qi wireless charging, but the sound and the battery life and the noise canceling and, again, mixing with having the LDAC and all of that kind of stuff more than makes up for lacking some of the other features. And honestly, in my opinion, I think this makes this kind of a no-brainer at this price tag. In fact, so much of a no-brainer that I would recommend buying these or getting these for people that don't want to use their more expensive earbuds necessarily in situations where they worry about them getting damaged or getting gross. This pair can definitely hold its own, and I did not expect this in this price tag. So thank you to you guys for recommending these. But guys, that wraps up my video on the Ceramics-MK2s. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.